Broadcasting from the beautiful Hill Country in Texas, this is OneRadioNetwork.com. Well, a very pleasant good morning to you. This is Patrick Timpone, and it's OneRadioNetwork.com. It's 10 o'clock Central Time. Hope you had a nice evening. It is Tuesday morning, the 2nd of August, and it's an honor to be here with you. We're going to have fun this morning. We're going to talk about babies. Maybe he might know how to make babies too. I guess he does. We're gonna we're gonna meet Dr. Kiltz, and he is a OBGYN, and he actually does surgery. He works with infertility medicine. He's been doing this 32 years. He has an operation or an office rather in upstate New York and Florida, Colorado, and Canada. And I found him in some strange way that I'll tell you about. Is Robert Kiltz, and we're going to say hi to him. Dr. Kiltz, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's such an honor to talk to you.
Patrick, thank you so much for the invitation. Please call me Robert. I'm here to share ideas and learn more also.
Oh, cool. So what's the main reason? Is there a main reason, a number one reason on your list that boys and girls get together, but somehow they just can't make a baby?
Well, the number one reason for life is reproduction. And when it's not happening, something's wrong. And I think the leading cause of reproductive dysfunction or infertility is related to our nutrition and our diets. And I think it causes a tremendous amount of inflammation, which damages all of the reproductive organs on the male and the female side.
Wow. Could that be a kind of a spiritual, evolutionary thing, wanting to have the strongest species? Is that going too far to say something like that?
Well, it's all spiritual. It's all energy. It's all vibration. It's all the meaning of life. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, that's the reason I think we're all here, is to reproduce. But we can reproduce in lots of different ways. It's not just having babies, but it's caring for families and others also.
Yeah. It must be very rewarding to work with people who've been wanting to get pregnant, and then they do. I mean, that must be real fun for you.
Oh, it's one of the most amazing things I've ever done. When I first was in medical school and I came across OB and delivering babies, that was where I knew I wanted to go.
Really?
And subsequently from there, I practiced, and then I learned that, there was this area called reproductive endocrinology and infertility. So I did a fellowship in that, and I've really been practicing fertility medicine for nearly 30 years.
So fertility medicine, let's explain to us really what that's about. I really want to understand that.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I'm a Western trained physician practicing medicine where we use diagnostic tools to figure out what the problem is, male, female, anatomic, hormonal, or infectious, or other things. And then we have our treatments, drugs, dissections, and things like that. But over the last maybe 15 to 20 years, I began to incorporate not just Western medicine, but tremendous amount of Eastern medicine, acupuncture, massage, meditation, prayer, and things like that. So really, when we call medicine, we're not just talking about Western medicine. We're talking about spiritual medicine and physical medicine and so many things that I've come to learn. And for me, this nutrition is such a powerful thing that I'm practicing and talking about more and more.
Mm-hmm. And the patients are pretty open to that. They come in and they get into this idea of what you eat matters.
I think most people are open to listening and learning these ideas. I talk a lot about carnivore, and I talk about keto, and I talk about paleo over the years. But now I'm really talking a lot about fasting and adding fat to your nutrition and some other things that are really powerful. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that.
Sure.
But I believe that, besides postponing childbearing, our nutrition is highly flawed, and our Western medicine is sharing the wrong idea and the wrong direction for a healthy diet.
Hmm. Was there a person or something in your life that kind of took you to the brighter side of nutrition and spiritual matters?
Well, my sister Marianne had diabetes since she was age 4, and she died at 52. And at the same time, my good friend Dave died of cancer. And he was 52, and he was a doctor. He was healthy, and just something just clicked in me that seemed wrong, that these things were happening. And I understand my sister is dying of diabetes. She had it for years, but then I went on a quest to figure out the cause of diabetes, the cause of cancer, and linked all of the diseases really to a very simple 5 things that I think are powerful. And at the same time, I was practicing medicine with utilizing the acupuncture and a lot of mindfulness. I never talked about nutrition. This is probably about 15 plus years ago. And then some of my patients were getting pregnant on this thing called paleo diet. So I began to dive into diet because I didn't believe that diet had, much of anything. And certainly we didn't learn anything about what nutrition and what it really was about. So then I found keto. And then about 12 years ago, I ran into this thing called carnivore. And that sort of changed my whole view and began to understand why my friend Dave died, my sister died, and basically what I believe are our directives in Western medicine are incorrect for the human species.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And we went through this whole thing with cholesterol and heart attacks and the Framingham and the fat. Remember, you were there at the fat days and the low fat and Atkins. And wow, we've been through a big curve, haven't we?
Well, I suffered myself, and that was the other thing. Is I had since I was a child, I had migraines and dyslexia and ADHD and bowel problems, and then into my 30s and 40s, it got worse. I had bowel bleeding, IBS, kidney stones, migraines got worse, and I think that even depression, anxiety, all kind of got worse, and so kind of led me to this new area when I went carnivore. In literally 1 month, it all went away. And despite the fact that with keto and paleo it got better, but it took carnivore for it to disappear.
That is fascinating. So that's how I found you, by the way. That's how I found Dr. Kilt. Is I got interested in carnivore a more meat diet a couple months ago. Somehow, I think somebody sent me one of the videos and said, "Well, this guy's cool. Let's talk to him." So you really found a difference between keto, paleo, and carnivore. Tell folks what the difference is in those 3 modalities.
Well, we can look at paleo and think of it as our ancient hunter-gatherer diets for thousands, if not millions of years, but I don't know how true these stories are, but they are stories. So let's say the majority of our nutrition was likely fatty animals that we hunted for years, and maybe under times of lack and starvation, famine, we might, find some berries and seeds and nuts, but I don't think that was much of what we really ate. But ultimately, paleo is a high-fat diet, and keto is a high-fat diet. These things called ketones bodies show up when you're fasting and we're eating higher fat nutrition. And so that, I think, comes to be the name of ketosis and ketogenic diets. Now, ketoacidosis is different, but I come to find that I don't think those are that important. And really, carnivore means you eat only animal-based food, and herbivore means you eat only plant-based foods. And then omnivores mean you eat both meat or animals and plants. Right. And so there's too much science that tries to explain things in very complex ways. And I just kind of think we've made it too much snake oil that most of us, even me, can't quite understand what it really means.
But when you did a meat-based diet, which is be carnivore, and you can maybe tell us what you eat now, and you've been doing this for over 10 years, you've really seen some drastic improvements in your health.
Well, I remember watching a guy on YouTube 11, 12 years ago, and he was doing carnivore, and he was like ripped and, with muscles, and he said he didn't exercise. And I was like, well, that sounds like the diet for me, because I was hurting all over the place from a tremendous amount of exercise. So I went ahead and did this carnivore thing, and it was meat based. It was steak and eggs, and I call it the baby's diet today. It was bacon, eggs, butter, beef, and salt. That's kind of the basics, but you can just do steak, salt, and water if you want. And I did it, and I fast. I typically do 23 hours of fasting and 1 hour of feasting, and I find that is the most miraculous, amazing thing you can do for the human body.
Wow.
I drink water. I've drunk coffee in the past. I recently got off of it just because I wanted to try it. I don't think it's particularly harmful, but too much of anything is.
Yeah.
But so everyone says that meat is poorly digested in the body. Well, that's not true, actually. Meat, fat, and protein is the best digested thing in the human gut, in the stomach, and then in the upper intestines. It's quickly digested. And plants are poorly digested. We're not an herbivore. We are a carnivore in our GI tract, in our system. And we've kind of been duped to eat plants. And my thought is that my theory is that plants are actually the predators and we're the prey. Plants have controlled us, and we become addicted to them. And it's really kind of an interesting concept. But we have zero requirement to ever eat fruit, fiber, seeds, nuts, or vegetables. Zero. And they're actually harmful and deadly for us because plants contain toxic chemicals that kill many animals, many bugs, many microbes, and it just happens to cause most of our disease. And then the plants not only contain poisons, and just think of heroin, cocaine, marijuana, cyanide, nicotine, and caffeine. They're all plant-based drugs, and they're not good for us. And many of them are very harmful and can kill you rapidly. Some of them just control you. And sugar, so plants, all plants, kale, asparagus, broccoli, carrots, onions, potatoes, tomatoes, they're all full on sugar. So we know sugar's bad. Well, why are vegetables good? Well, vegetables convert to sugar in your GI tract, and they cause damage to the bowels, and then they cause damage to all of your cells in your body, including your brain. And my bet is they cause Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, and more. And so when I looked at the science on this, because there's a journal called the United States Department of Agriculture's Journal for Plant Poisons. It's for the livestock industry. So when livestock get damaged reproductively and they die, or there's many other diseases, someone loses money. But when we humans get sick, someone makes money. So for some reason, we're hiding the fact that plants are actually mostly poisonous of any significance or frequency. And some people will die rapidly from an anaphylactic reaction from many plants. My daughter from a banana, people from peanuts all the time. And so, people go to the doctor for health care and they got a complaint. Well, every single complaint is likely related to a high plant-based, low animal fat diet, in my opinion.
Wow. Eat your vegetables. But Mom told us to eat our vegetables, Doc. I mean, come on.
Well, about 10 to 12,000 years ago, somehow some of the mightiest people in the world figured that they can control humans by feeding them plants. And then we become domesticated. We become slaves, soldiers, peasants, and prisoners. Wow. Masters eat fatty ribeye steak, like 5 Wagyu, and the masses eat the mush, which keeps us meek. It's time we learn the story, the truth about nutrition. We humans are carnivores. We're lions. We are not pigs, cows, and sheep. If you feed a lion and a wolf grass and grains, they become dogs and cats, domesticated animals. If you feed a human savage, we'll just use that word, an ancestral human, plants of any frequency or significance, we become domesticated peasants, soldiers, prisoners, and slaves. And we're that today. We're enslaved by the need to have carbohydrates. Got to have them. And every doctor's AMA, the American Cardiology Associations, Heart Associations, the Diabetic and Dietetic Association, in every hospital that I work at is promoting a plant-based, low animal fat diet. And yet we're getting sicker. The cost of healthcare is going up. More pills and drugs for everyone. And I'm on a mission to share what I've learned personally from seeing too many people sick and dying, and people convinced that they're just something, their genetics have changed. Doesn't make any sense.
We're talking with Dr. Robert Kiltz. He has a couple of websites that we'll tell you about, drkiltz.com, and then and he's in a fertility clinic. So can you gauge and give us an idea of just the introduction to a carnivore diet with patients wanting to get pregnant, the men and the women, and what your experience has been when they do this?
Well, politics, religion, culture, diet is voodoo. No to talk about. And so, but I ask, go over the history of how long you've been trying and any pregnancies, any children, any miscarriages, things like that. And then I usually ask about any history of any medical conditions, and usually it's or it's thyroid or some bowel problems, sometimes some autoimmune diseases or immunologic problems. And I ask about their general health and wellness. And I always ask them about their nutrition and what do they eat? What do they have for breakfast? What do they have for lunch? And what they have for dinner? And I'll then make a comment that it's possible that what they're eating is the cause of all their problems. And most people are actually open to listening and learning because they're coming to me because they would like to help themselves have a baby. And one, natural is always what I want to help people do. And two is, if it's not natural, it's with some assistance. And, most people, when you ask them what they eat, quite often they'll say, I eat healthy, I eat clean, I eat organic. Sure. And I know it's not a problem. And I said, well, I know you know that, but maybe it's incorrect. Maybe there is something you can do different in your diet. And so that's when I begin the conversation. And I kind of open up in that keto is sort of one way to do it. But the ultimately very best is the top elimination diet, which is carnivore. Then they're shocked. And they say, everyone says, well, it's steak and eggs, and the husbands are going to love this. The guys love this.
He'll like that. My husband will love that.
Yeah. But women have been made afraid of eating meat, red meat, and certainly afraid to eat fat.
Yeah.
And there's something in our body called the glycobiome. Glycobiome. Everyone's heard of the microbiome or the proteome or the nuclear DNA, but no one understands the glycobiome. So everyone thinks that sugar is used for energy for our body, but I believe it's not. Sugar is required to protect the glycobiome, to maintain the glycobiome, and almost all proteins that are important in our body must have a sugar added to it. This is called glycosylation. Now, most scientists that I talk to, most nutritionists, most doctors have never heard of this. But the glycobiome is the Teflon shield that protects your body. The bowel is the number one place for the glycobiome that's damaged. And it's damaged because we eat a ton of sugar and fiber and vegetables that really scrape away this beautiful lining in our bowels. And so then we get all these bowel disorders. And even babies, in the mouth and the tonsils are destroying the glycobiome, which allows the microbes to take over. My theory here is that the microbiome is not good for us. The microbiome is deadly. The microbiome takes over in our body because the glycobiome is damaged. And so we're not eating fat. And it turns out that when you eat fat, you suppress inflammation in your body. And we know the current modern diets are void of fat. Yes, they might contain some plant oils, but plant oils, in my opinion, are deadly also. It's you want to eat fat from an animal. It suppresses inflammation in the bowels, in the mouth, in the esophagus, in the small and large intestines. It keeps the fermenting bugs at bay. So when the bugs, the bacteria and the yeast in your bowels get a hold of sugar, they make alcohol, aldehydes, heat gas, and methane. And those things circulate around your bloodstream. Those are not good for us. And so the leading place is the colon, where the microbes grow, because we're eating a fiber-filled, vegetable-filled diet. And diets are deadly in our current recommendation, which is really hard to believe. And I thought this was nuts. This can't be. But I did it, and I have so many of my patients doing it. I've seen so many women get pregnant naturally. And I have one gal did almost 30 fertility treatments with me, IVF, IUI, frozen transfers, donor egg, nothing happened. Really? 40 years old. Wow. She goes carnivore. She conceives naturally and delivers a baby on her own. Now, that's just one story. We have infinite stories. And when you begin to search carnivore and what women are doing and men are doing, they're getting back to mommies, men, masters. That's what meat does for us. Fatty meat.
What was a great line with Mae West, that she never wanted to date a guy who didn't eat meat or something? I always remember that one.
We've been duped by the masters who convince us all to eat mush, keeps us meek.
Mush?
Mush. And that is it. And I know it's kind of a crazy concept, but I eat butter like cheese. Mm-hmm. I always eat the fattiest ribeye every single day. Mm-hmm. I had my Snake River ribeye steak with which is black and blue. I put butter and a little bit of blue cheese on it, and I pour the grease right from the pan right back on the steak. And I eat the whole steak. And I eat part of it. I don't eat the 32 ounces. I eat about 12 ounces a day of fatty meat. You don't need much. And it just, you feel fantastic. I have no more bowel problems. Your poop comes out a few times a week. And there's no more bleeding. My hemorrhoids went away.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, how'd this happen? This is like radical.
See, that's one thing I've experienced, and I've only been doing carnivore for 2 months, but I just don't poop as much. But, I've been talked into the idea we need to be pooping like 2-3 times a day. But so I'm not going crazy. I'm okay. I'm not going to die.
Fiber is deadly for humanity. And vegetables of any significance or frequency is not good for us. And I know these words just seem radical. I have respect for everyone out there, but I'm a doctor, and I paid a lot of money to go to medical school. It wasn't easy to get in. Mm-hmm. And even today, there's still some rough spots in practicing medicine that, we have a huge ICD-10 book with thousands of diagnoses. And so what we're doing is we're labeling humans with a disease that is simply a side effect from their diet. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. And every disease is the same 5 causes. And I say that's plant sugars, plant chemicals, plant antigens, fermentation of plants in the GI tract. But then it spreads everywhere. And then the bugs love you because your glucose levels, circulatory-wise, are high and you're damaged. And then the 5th is excessive exercise. Excessive.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's like eating 3 meals and then going to the gym to lose weight. Why don't you just eat 1 meal a day? Then you won't have to go to the gym.
Uh-huh.
And then you'll save money if you only do 1 meal a day. And then guess what? You could be more creative. You get in the pottery studio. You can write screenplays. You could paint. There's so many creative things that we're missing in life because we're trying to get on a treadmill to lose weight because our doctors told us to eat 3 meals a day.
It's funny you mentioned that because that was one of the reasons that precipitated this idea about changing my diet, because as a screenwriter, I need to write at night because I do this during the day and prep and everything. And, if I eat pasta, rice, or vegetables, an hour after I eat it, I'm just worthless. I could no more write a screenplay. Lucky I could watch a movie. So I said, well, this is not working, this is not working. And it's so funny because on the spiritual end of it, I really started asking God, I said, I need some help here. I mean, come on, what's going on? Because I need to do something. And that night, somebody sent me a video of a talk that from a Sally K. Norton talking about the oxalates, her, and she starts talking about the oxalates in vegetables. I said, well, I could get rid of those. That might be why, I could change. And then after a while, you figure out, well, if I don't eat vegetables, the only thing to eat is meat, right? So that's how I got here. Isn't it interesting? Yeah.
Well, it is, it's magical when you do this. And again, I don't think there's any conspiracy against, these dietary people believe what they believe. And,
Sure.
we're very resistant. And all my doctor friends are very resistant to these ideas. And, well, no, this is what it is. And I'm like, well, we get fat from eating sugar, but you blame fat for the cause of disease, when in actuality it was sugar. But you don't know that kale is sugar, asparagus is sugar, broccoli is sugar. And plants have been around for millions of years longer than you and I, and they have more DNA than you and I, and they're live organisms. The cell has one mission: survive and reproduce. So all organisms, we're nothing special. We're not smarter than any other cell of the universe. We're just another cellular organism.
So every cell's, what they do for a living is to reproduce.
All cells.
All cells.
All
It is-
cells.
it
All
is
cells.
reproducing.
Doesn't matter what you are. Our brain gives us this concept to be creative, but many other organisms are equally or more creative, and they're doing their thing. One thing that I do talk about in medicine that probably a lot of my colleagues don't enough of is faith, and talk about God, which I think is really, really, really missing in modern medicine. We've lost the sense of connecting with our patients, talking to them, listening to them, and I like to call them my community, my clients. We're really, we have to change the transaction. Medicine is sort of this transaction is, I'm the boss and I'll tell you what to do, and if you don't do what I tell you to do, I'm going to kick you out of my practice. What is that? It's like, really?
I was talking to my brother. I have an older brother, and families are always trying to help him and seeing if I can get him off statins because they're very dangerous, as you well know. And he said, here's what he told me. He said, well, my cardiologist told me that if I didn't take the statins, he wouldn't be my doctor anymore. Wow. That's
what type of doctor? So if you kick them out,
yeah.
Well, we judge people negatively in medicine. You're fat, you're skinny, you're short, you have these diseases. I'm going to label you with diseases. You're not your disease. You're a human being. Modern medicine has to stop with all these diagnostic codes and drugs and dissections and just, hey, how are you? How's your family? What you doing these days? Oh my God, I didn't know you did artwork and stuff. That's really awesome. And because medicine has become venture capital run, corporate, which I think is not good. I think it's a bad idea. And so, but people are searching for a quick answer and a quick fix.
Yeah.
I think much of modern medicine's, great strides and great discoveries, yet we've forgotten the simplest thing, which is human touch and kindness, and then the proper human diet, as my good friend Ken Berry calls it, which is basically carnivore.
I want to, before the break, I want to get back to this glycobiome, this idea. Going to dig a little bit more into that. in the colon, there's this coating that is happy when we just eat meat, animal foods, meat, butter, eggs.
Well, the whole body, the inside and the outside, is coated by a sugar coating called the glycobiome, the glycocalyx.
Calyx.
The glycocalyx is that layer. It's in the blood vessels, it's in the lymphatics, and every cell has it. It's critical. If your glycobiome, see, my belief is that the glycobiome is out of whack because of our improper nutrition, and it damages the glycobiome. So the glycobiome is screwed, and so the microbes. Just think of the grasslands. When you deplete the grasslands of the grass, it erodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work anymore.
Yes.
And so our body is the same way. See, everyone again thinks sugar is an energy source. It's not. Both sugar and amino acids must be converted to fat in the liver in order to use them as energy. Liver failure patients die because they can't make fat, and type 1 diabetics die because they can't make fat. Every type 2 diabetic has no problem making fat. They call it insulin resistance. Insulin is doing what it's meant to do. Insulin is meant to convert amino acids and simple sugars to fat. That is it. It's doing a great job. There's no such thing as insulin resistance either. It's basically, we're using the wrong language for the simple truth. Fat is the fuel for the Ferrari, and we're Ferraris. And if you don't eat fat, no one does, your body's going to make plenty of it. It knows how to do it, and you can't stop it. And we are losing the battle on obesity because the human body is like, are you an idiot? The famine's coming and you're going to be skinny and you're going to be dead. I'm not going to let you do that. So the harder we try to be skinny, guess what? We lose because the universe knows better than we do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Dr. Kiltz, can you hang on there? And we're going to take a break. And then when we get back, I want to talk about insulin and blood sugar and fasting and all that cool stuff. Boy, this is fun talking to Dr. Robert Kiltz. I hope you're enjoying it. My name is Patrick Timpone, OneRadioNetwork.com. You see, I don't feel quite as crazy already after talking to this man for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. One of the favorite things that we do at night before bed is to get in our sauna and detoxify and sweat. And there's been some cool things that have been done with work with studying saunas. Dr. Rhonda Patrick, we have a video of her on our website on the sauna page, and she talks about the amazing things that happen with the heart and far infrared saunas. I mean, it's a lot more than just sweating and getting detoxified. And then we talked with a gentleman, Dr. Minkoff, a while back. He mentioned the same thing. Listen.
Recently, we talked with Dr. David Minkoff, MD, about his patients and toxins.
We test them for environmental toxins, and we look at their teeth, and we look at their diet, and we do a look at their gut, and they're loaded. It is a radical 360 assault on our bodies, what we're living in today in terms of our environment. It's remarkable what you find on people, like how much stuff they've accumulated. You know, they need to get in the sauna 3 or 4 times a week, and they need to filter. The water systems in the United States are full of environmental toxins.
I know when we talked to Dr. Rowie, he was a big fan of these far infrared saunas and getting the sweat out, and he used to test the sweat and everything. Do you do that, a far infrared, and then what kind of saunas do you do?
I have them there's some pretty economical, really good portable saunas that people can get, and I think it's like mandatory. If you're living on planet Earth now, you better get in a sauna 3 times a week for half an hour and really sweat, because no matter how careful you are, you're getting full of stuff that you don't want in your body that are toxic and carcinogenic.
Yes, we've been promoting and using for years, 10 years now, the Relax Far Infrared Sauna. It's a portable, about 1,000. Really nice units, boy. They get hot, and boy, you sweat, and it's great.
Great unit.
Yeah. Oh, you've seen those.
Yeah.
Yes, they are great units.
They are very great units, Patrick. Thank you, talk show guy. And Dr. Rhonda Patrick makes an argument, and she says there's science to prove it, that the more you do the sauna, like 6-7 days a week is even better than 5. Now that's crazy when you think about it. It's like, come on, is that even possible? That's what she claims. Anyway, we have the best price ever. It is $1,295. That is delivered in the lower 48. For those of you at Petaluma, that does not include Alaska or Hawaii. We ship them all over the world. We shipped one to Italy the other day. And just tell me where you live, and then we'll work out the best price with the extra shipping. We have many listeners in Canada, and the Canadian folks can get their sauna. I believe it's about $14.95 delivered, $14.95 too. But just give me your address, and I'll get the right price for you. It's Patrick at OneRadioNetwork.com. We've been promoting an organic sulfur for probably 10 years, something that I do take every day. I think it's a nice addition to a diet to help the body to sulfate some of these yuck things out of the body that we breathe in the air and who knows where. Dr. Stephanie Seneff, who's been on our show many times, MIT, has done quite a bit of work with sulfur and the sulfating system that gets messed up because the glyphosates, and they're pretty much everywhere. I need to ask Dr. Kiltz, and I will, if cows that eat some glyphosates, if we get them. I need to ask him that. Okay, so anyway, if you'd like to get some sulfur, just go on our website, Patrick at OneRadioNetwork.com, if you have questions about it. But you can order 2 pounds. It's pure. There's no tag-alongs. Most sulfur out there, I don't care where you go, like 98% of them has different silicone dioxide and stuff because they make capsules, the sulfur. And then they have to do that in the machines, they believe, so they can get them into a capsule. Ours is pure, and it works. And you'll feel it. I mean, you get a little hit from it. Sulfur, it's on OneRadioNetwork.com. If I press the right button here, I think this thing is going to work. There you go.
Broadcasting from the beautiful Hill Country in Texas, this is OneRadioNetwork.com.
We've been talking to the Rain Angels, and I think they're starting to get it together. We're seeing clouds for the first time in 30 days. Boy, it's been dry around here. Have you all got some rain up there in New York, Doc?
Well, we tend to get a little bit more rain in upstate New York. We don't have a shortage of water in general.
Yeah. So that is a good question. I know a lot of farmers here. We go to the farmer's market, get grass-fed, grass-finished beef, really nice, ribeyes and such. But sometimes it gets so dry they have to get alfalfa. They bring it in, and I suspect it's not organic, Is that a challenge for us to eat that after the cows eat it?
I don't think it has significant deleterious effects on us compared to eating the vegetables ourselves. So the animals are meant to process these plants, and whether it's alfalfa, which is grass essentially, and it may not be the free range and the regenerative agriculture, which I think is ultimately important to regenerate the grasslands, but I don't know how reasonable that's going to happen in the next, my lifetime, but it's something that I know people are doing. And Brian Sanders, Food Lies, he's got some really great stuff on that, Sapiens. But I would say that the most important thing is eat fatty meat, eat organ meats. I think very important, bone broth, bone marrow. And if you focus on that and butter, I do cream. I even make an ice cream that I've got in one of my on my magazines, my guides and books. And listen, life is meant to be rewarded and enjoyed. This is not to be like, oh my God, I'm going to torture myself and never eat a piece of cake, cookie, or candy ever again. I think from time to time these things are okay, but the problem is that we've created a daily party and a daily amusement park living, but we're the temple. You want to treat yourself like the most expensive, valuable, irreplaceable thing ever created in the universe. And so there are some things you should never consume, and there are some things that you should infrequently consume. And there are certainly some things you should consume every single day, which to me is fatty meat. And that's the most important thing, to protect the glycobiome.
The biome. It's fascinating, that glycobiome. There are carnivore people out there that are doing the organ meats in a desiccated form. You think those things work? Or obviously fresh would be the best, right?
Well, I think if you can get your food fresh from real food, and that's going to be the very best. If you can find it local and organic and grass fed, that's going to be the very best, we think. But I would say that that's, we got to recognize that in order to feed the masses healthy, there are some industrial products that, we have to recognize that that's what they are. And people have to be able to get meats and eggs. And, I'm not a big fan of chicken or fish personally, but, I think pork and beef are probably the best.
Yeah.
But, if you're going to eat chicken, you want to get fatty chicken. You want to eat the whole thing. You want to get the bone marrow, the bone broth, all of that. Very important. And we sell a nutritional supplement, by the way. Dr. Kilt's Nutritional Solutions is a meat based. It's organ meats, and it's also liver meat. And so for those that just can't get it, just don't want to eat it that way, take the supplement. I think it adds the real minerals and vitamins likely come from the organs, the majority. And when a lion kills, it goes from the guts. It eats that first, and it leaves the lean meats for the scavengers.
Yeah. Can you gauge percentage of organ meats if you had like the main thing being like ribeyes or steak? What kind of percentage of organ meats, if you had to put a number on it?
I think about 5% would be reasonable. It's not a lot. You don't need a lot. I mean, that's if you're doing, you see, the meat, the cells of the meat contains all the minerals and vitamins in general. And so, if you don't eat organ meats at all, you're likely not going to be hurting. But if you eat plants chelate. They rob your body of your minerals and vitamins. And so they cause damage to the glycobiome. And as you know, oxalates, Sally Norton's work on oxalates. And, I suffered from oxalate damage for years, and I didn't know it. I love spinach. Oh my God. And so I would say that as long as you're eating, see, A, D, and K are all fat soluble vitamins. They come with the fat. And so the cell itself contains all the minerals and vitamins. And since we're not eating plants, we're not likely causing the leaky gut, and we're not causing the chelation, which robs our bodies of all those minerals and vitamins we require. So it's not necessary, but I would say 5% would be good.
So talk a bit about how plants, kale, spinach, chard, all the rest of them, high oxalates, they actually rob the body of nutrition, rob the body of vitamins and minerals?
Well, they chelate. They grab onto the minerals and vitamins and the metals, and they hold them and bind them, and they prevent you from absorbing them. That's really much of the science. And plants, in order to get the minerals and vitamins from the soil, they have to chelate and bind them. And so they also sometimes will use your bacteria and yeast in a symbiotic relationship for some of these things. But ultimately, the body is being damaged by oxalates, phytates, lectins, the glycoproteins, which also they're called hemagglutinins. These hemagglutinins basically cause blood clots and likely responsible for a tremendous amount of disease. In surgery, I'm a surgeon, we use a potato substance to spread on areas that are bleeding in order to stop the bleeding. So it causes blood clotting in areas we want the clots. So my bet is that, people eat plants and all of the micronizes and goes into your gut, and then it's absorbed, much of it, and goes into your bloodstream and goes everywhere. The science is kind of simple. If you can just step back and recognize that, you smoke a cigarette, you feel whatever that sense is, a cigar, you drink caffeine, you know it, and you drink alcohol. Everything goes into your brain. See, they think there's this blood-brain barrier. It doesn't exist, does it? It doesn't exist. I mean, come on. You know that things get into our brain faster than anything. Why would the brain hold things back? And by the way, the brain burns fatty acids for energy, not sugar. Sugar is a glycan. Glycans are responsible for glycosylation. Without glycosylation, you would die quickly. The sugars that are circulating in our body are used to to add to glycosylate proteins so the proteins are functional. The neurotransmitters are glycosylated proteins. Without that glycosylation, you and I couldn't even be talking here. We'd drop dead in about, seconds. And so the science of the human body is so fascinating. But my sense is most of the science you and I have been taught is wrong.
We're talking with Dr. Robert Kiltz. It is drkiltz.com. He's an OBGYN. He's a surgeon, and he is into fertility awareness and fertility medicine. Helps mom and dads get pregnant. So let's talk about the guys in the spermie and all that. Is that often solved with a carnivore diet as well to get the little sperms happy?
The birth control pill and the abortion pill are made from plants.
Wow.
Plants make estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone in significant amounts and likely responsible for male and female fertility issues, damaged sperm, high fragmentation of DNA, tremendous amount of mal-shaped sperm, poor motility, no motility, and even absent sperm. We do know that guys who take testosterone quite often lose all their sperm production. It'll come back if
You
they
mean
stop.
the pills or the BBs and
The
shots
cream,
and all
the shots, the whatever it is, any testosterone supplement. So again, my sense is that the plants contain the chemicals that do the job. Now, why doesn't it affect everyone? Well, that's a hard one to know. But most people who smoke cigarettes don't get lung cancer. That doesn't mean we recommend smoking. But everyone gets something. But you just don't know what it is. And most of these diseases and cancers are silent until one day you've been diagnosed with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think the real conundrum comes. But absolutely, men and women have the same fertility problems, essentially. They have scar tissue forming to block their sperm ejaculation or release of the sperm. They have damage to the testicles to stop production of the sperm, but it happens, in my opinion, in utero. We become addicted to sugar and plants in utero because our mothers ate it, so it crosses the placental membrane, and the baby's brain and organs are affected by it. The epigenetics, where basically the environment affects the expression of your DNA, your genes, is affected in utero. So whatever your mom's been eating since the day she was born, or her mom ate, it just goes back to the dawn of time in a sense. But we know that what your mother eats affects you, and then what you eat since the moment you're born, and all this soy-based formulas. Now we're out of formula. Whatever happened to the mom's breast? But moms can't breastfeed anymore because their breasts are damaged. The glycobiome of the breasts are damaged from a sugar-based nutritional diet and a low animal fat diet. It's really simple. Again, you can have some plants and sugars from time to time. Your body's capable of it. But because we're eating it all the time, and the majority of the food we eat is actually poorly digested. So that means our bowels are full of digesting food from the day we're born to the day we die, pretty much. And so it's constantly fermenting. It's constantly releasing sugar into your bloodstream, which causes insulin to go up. And then it causes glycation to every organ of your body. And it keeps you addicted to something you don't need. You have no requirement to ever eat a plant or a carbohydrate in the human diet.
Fascinating. Dr. Kiltz, there's a whole cadre, as you know, of carnivore and meat-based people with YouTube. Everybody's a rock star, it's great. And there's many that contend that the fruit and honey and things like that are really necessary. But from what I hear now, I don't think you agree with that.
No, there's no requirement for fiber, fruit, vegetables, seeds, nuts. And in my opinion, honey is highly contaminated with likely pollens and other plant chemicals, and then also likely other toxins and bacteria and yeast, again, unless it's been pasteurized, and then it's maybe different. I don't think sugar, and I don't even think honey or fruit from time to time is necessarily harmful, but it shouldn't be part of your regular diet, in my opinion.
So I just got to do a little technical thing here. So I see. So something, if you want to have some fruit, it's not going to hurt too much. I mean, you might enjoy a mango or something. I mean, it's not like it's going to mess up this glycobiome thing that we talk about.
Unless it's that one fruit or other plant antigen that you happen to have an anaphylactic reaction to.
Oh.
People do not die of anaphylactic reactions to ribeye steak or chicken. Fish, yes.
Fish.
Seafood. Seafood has tremendous amount of allergies, but not meat. But again, we've made people think they're allergic to meat and they can't take it. But that's a whole other story about our biases really close our mind to be open to the possibilities. But I know that I love a piece of chocolate. I love a chocolate cake from time to time. I love ice cream from time to time. Now I'm addicted to food, because if you don't eat food, you die. I'm addicted to air. I'm addicted to water. But we use the word addiction to label us as if it's something like we're born with. It's not. We're brainwashed. We're lions, and we've been brainwashed to be pigs, cows, and sheep. It's really the simple story.
Come as adventurers and be strong, right? To see what's going on here on Earth and see what we can make of ourselves here. So if we're just eating an animal-based diet, what's the insulin doing? Does it need to be doing something? I mean, did it just hang out there?
Okay. So if you fast for days and days and weeks, your insulin is low.
Mm-hmm.
Insulin is released when you eat proteins and sugars. There's no insulin release when you eat fat. When you eat fat, now remember, fat's from an animal, oil's from a plant. I don't suggest eating oils, fatty meat. Fat goes to the lymphatics, and it's distributed everywhere in the body because it doesn't require the liver to metabolize it. Amino acids and simple sugars go to the liver. All the blood flow from the bowels goes to the liver so insulin will then convert them to fat, or you cannot survive. You will die. And so, insulin, okay, so if I'm eating 3 plant-based meals a day, and I'm having at least 1 to 3 bowel movements a day, your GI tract is never empty of carbohydrates, ever. So that means you're fermenting, you're secreting the toxins in the plants in your bloodstream, you're secreting the lectins, oxalates, and phytates all over your body, and of course sugar. Sugar stimulates insulin to make fat. That's all it does. Insulin does not put sugar into your cells in order to be energy for the mitochondria. Why would the mitochondria use sugar when it's got fat everywhere? Fat is easily cleaved from fatty acids rapidly, and fatty acids from acetyl-CoA from fatty acids contain far more energy than a sugar does. But this is the conundrum, that people know nothing about glycosylation and the importance of glycosylation in the human body.
Did you have to be a really geek researcher to figure this out? I mean, did you have to really dig in?
Well, I couldn't figure out why. I'm not such a geeky guy. I'm not the smartest guy in the universe, but I'm a hunter. And I'll take that from my ancient roots. And I'm persistent. And I don't give up easily. I couldn't figure out how your cells burn sugar 1 minute and then fat another minute. This just doesn't make any sense. And anorexics die quickly. They likely have cardiovascular arrhythmias and die. And because they don't have fat, they have no fat. Acetyl-CoA must be available in extremely high amounts from fatty acids or you die. So liver failure patients, they don't have a liver functioning properly. They have high sugar and they have high insulin levels, and yet they become emaciated and they have no fat, and they die quite readily, quickly. Obese patients, again, the reason they're getting obese and the reason their insulin's always high, and they call it insulin resistance, because their sugar is always there. So Otto Warburg and the Warburg effect, when I read Thomas Seyfried's book on cancer as a metabolic disorder, it taught me about Otto Warburg. Otto Warburg figured out that glucose was likely the cause of cancer. Glycation damages the mitochondria. The cell dies. But some cells survive because they're able to make a little bit of ATP in the cytoplasm in order to survive long enough to metastasize. Because once again, the cell is smart. The cell says, I want to survive, but this idiot is killing me. So I'm going to find another place. But the cell, is not realizing this, no longer in the great metabolic soup of the world. It's like connected into this human body who keeps on pouring sugar into it, and it's going to go somewhere else, and it's going to try, and it's going to kill you, right? But ultimately, the cancer didn't kill you. Your diet did. Your diet of sugar, and you have no requirement of sugar. And so now Thomas Seyfried's a very interesting guy because he's really looking at these areas. And another one is Carolyn Bertozzi. Carolyn Bertozzi is sort of is really Bertozzi. Berkeley, Stanford. She's a glycobiome, glycan master, and most of this work is in the work of pharmaceuticals or in vaccines or in cancer therapy, because the sugar coating on our cells is like a barcode. That's all it is. It's the fingerprints. And COVID virus changes its mutations based on its sugar coating. It just changes its sugar coding, but it's a coat. And so this is the part, our blood types are sugars. The sugars on our blood cells determine our blood type. The HLA antigen, human leukocyte antigen, is just another glycan. And so getting back to, I feel like a little bit of an idiot because I'm espousing that insulin resistance is not true, that sugar is not the energy for our mitochondria, only fat is. And there are a few others in there that my brain's not thinking about right now, but ultimately, we're the glycobiome is radically amazing, and when you protect it, it's the Teflon shield that'll protect you for infinite.
So if you're eating, say, a ribeye steak every day or some other steak, and it does have a great deal of fat, as some do not with grass-fed, do you get enough fat when you just eat butter?
I think butter is good. I think ghee and I think butter is better, but I do cream and butter, and I don't do cheese much. I don't think cheese is the best for us in any significance. I do salamis. I try not to have it with any spices because I think the spices are not good for us. Mm-hmm. The only spice salt is really the only thing in butter. Salt and butter are sort of my condiments, but that I add to my steak. But yeah, I think if you get lean meats, ask the butcher. Go to your butcher. The butcher throws away most of the fat.
They throw most of the fat. Yeah,
that's correct. And but now maybe they're selling it to Amazon. Whoever's making all this, this fat and rendering it and selling it for higher costs. I mean, I buy duck grease to fry my French fries in.
You make French fries out of what?
I make French fries out of russet potatoes. You cut the skin because the skin has solanase. It's not good for us. Uh-huh. And I cut them small slices, very thin, and I fry them in duck grease. And I put Malden salt or Redmond salt, and then I dipped it in mostly sour cream is what I love because it's cream and fat. And see, simple sugars are digested quickly in the upper GI tract. Complex sugars are not. See, everyone says complex carbs are good, simple sugars are not. Nope, other way. And remember, but you can't be eating these simple sugars all the time. That's why sodas in general are not good, and candy all the time is not good. And, and protein bars, in my opinion, are deadly and also not good for us.
Sure. So
No fat.
So a potato now and then is we can get away with it and enjoy it and not.
Yeah,
sure.
I think a cake, a cookie, a pie, from time to time. I just stay away from uncooked vegetables. And because it's the uncooked vegetables that contain the microbes that will cause our disease. And that's where you have to stay away from. And they ferment. And so, that's the number one thing we're called in America is fruits and vegetables. Right. And peanut butter and all this stuff that's processed. Look at, you buy eggs, you buy bacon, pork belly, you buy beef locally. And oh my God, what a beautiful thing.
I worked for McDonald's in 1965, my first year of college. And back then, we were taking real potatoes. We washed them, right? We put them in a thing. We made French fries right there. And then we cooked them in beef tallow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it got spoiled.
Then it was real food. I mean, it was real food back then.
I am not against McDonald's. I'm not against fast food. I think, one of my favorite meals in the universe is Big Mac fries and a Coke supersized. But look at, but to have those, I really haven't had one in years, but I'm not chastising them as a single entity to have from time to time. I think it's beautiful food. It's quality food. But again, to have it all the time, and for so many people, once they have it, oh my God, that's deadly and all the time. So, but we're in charge of ourselves. Your doctor's not, the professor's not, you are. And so I think one of the beauties of your show is sharing health and wellness on one radio network. And that is so important for everyone to listen and learn. I love so many things that you're talking about. Interesting enough, the glycobiome is sulfated.
Sulfated.
The sulfated negative charge is critical. And so I saw that about your sulfur supplement, which is critical. So the glycobiome was negatively charged. And we when we damage it, it now allows the negatively charged to attach, and the white cells, the immune cells, just the roundup. And you mentioned the glyphosate. Why can't I say the word? The Roundup. What am I thinking?
Right,
Glyphosates. And so we have to be careful that. But interesting enough, 98% of the toxins, the pesticides, are made by plants.
They're made by plants.
Made by plants. Plants are the predators, my friends, and we are the prey. They have cajoled us to change their DNA, to save them for infinite years in the cold, and put them everywhere. Enjoy them in the gardens, and the plants are just kind of hanging out there, thinking, "Boy, don't we have a party here, guys?" They're fertilizer eventually for us, and it's kind of, you have to laugh a little bit about this whole story. You got to have fun in it. Listen, I became a carnivore. I'm a crazy man. And I created this thing called Kiltz's Mighty Tribe, and where I love sharing my every day, 5 a.m., I'm online talking to people around the globe about carnivore and keto and health and wellness and fertility. And that's the magic of life now. Look at, we share things and help people.
Sure. And then you go in and do your practice all day long and do surgery, and then you come home and do shows like this. Good for you. And you eat once a day. I mean, I want to talk about that before we go. So, you don't get hungry then? You eat once a day, about what time?
I typically eat about 5 or 6 o'clock at night. I typically have my ribeye steak, and I have about 10 to 12 ounces in general. I might have a piece of chocolate from time to time. My French fries, maybe once every few weeks, not every day. And but the protection of the bowels in one meal a day or less is probably the most simple thing that anyone can do of any diet. It doesn't matter. Vegan, vegetarians, Mediterraneans, pescatarians, anything. If you go to one meal a day and add the fat, you're fantastic. And cook the carbs well, and do not add the spices of any significance or frequency, and you will significantly heal your body.
do a lot of good things go on during this intermittent fasting? We've heard we make more stem cells and all kinds of fun things. Is that true?
You're healing. You're healing the glycobiome.
Oh.
That's simple. Your
Yeah.
body's getting rid of the lactate, the lectins, the oxalates, the phytates. You're dumping all that stuff. But again, if you're going right back to it every day and eating a high oxalate, phytates, and gluten, and a latex, and all, remember, latex comes from plants, rubber plants, but most plants contain it. So yes, the fasting. I say, see, Kiltz's keto is carnivore. It's one meal a day. It's high fat. Now, do I have a snack sometimes? Sure, I do. A little piece of salami or cheese or my leftover ribeye steak.
Sure.
Now, do I sometimes have a topping of a pizza, but I don't eat the dough? I mean, rarely. I love it. I love it. And would I from time to time? Sure, I would,
Sure.
but not all the time.
And so if you do you ever take your fasting blood sugar with a pinprick for fun to see what it is?
I don't measure very much.
No measure.
No, because no matter what you do when you measure, something's going to come off wrong. You're going to worry. I don't weigh myself.
Is
I
it
don't
too high
measure
or too
myself.
low?
Is
Yeah.
it too high, too low? My God, I get a million questions. What does this mean? What does this mean? I say, just check it next week and see what it is. Give it a little time, But I would say that, people are coming off their drugs, or they're, been diagnosed, and they're trying to eliminate the diagnosis by getting a new doctor, or one that doesn't, give diagnoses, but just realize you're a human being. And if you stop eating the poisons, you'll be well. And you want to eat the proper human diet, which is fatty red meat, and then you will be fantastic. So, yeah, I don't measure. I don't measure.
No. How critical or important is the state of consciousness with the people you work with, the people, the moms and the dads that want to get pregnant, and the worry, the fear, the angst that they have going on? It's big, isn't it?
So thoughts create all things. This is the first thing you want to work on, is the thoughts. I am a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a parent, I'm alive, I'm healthy, I'm well. Use those words. I am. 3 Magic Words is a great book by U.S. Anderson. And if you ever read The Secret, but I read the Christ-Based Teachings by Don Curtis every day. I love the Bhagavad Gita. I read the Quran, the New, the Old Testament. I read them all because they're all of value in humanity. But thoughts create all things. Every negative thought sends negative energy throughout the universe. And every positive thought, loving, kind thought, I have as the mirror work. Start the work in the morning. The moment you get up, whatever it's the afternoon, whatever time it is. And even I do 1 to 3 naps a day. Naps reset the synapse. Your synapse requires naps. And that's really critical between faith, and I do meditation, prayer. That's my nap. I go down my gratitude. Thank you, God, Lord, Creator, for the day. Thank you for all the people in my life, even, the friends, the foes, all of them, because we're all the same. We're human beings in a human journey, but it's God that creates everything.
You bet. How about your sleep? Did it change in a significant way when you went carnivore? Just your main sleep?
My energy went up, and I find myself waking up at all times of the day and night.
I do
and I'm
too.
like, whoa. And so, but like everything else, if you're up, get up, go do something, do reading,
something.
listen to something, play your guitar, or write your screenplay. This is where the most amazing creative moments are. But we've been taught that, you need to get a full night's sleep. I mean,
Gotta get 8 hours straight or whatever.
Forget
right.
it.
Yeah.
No. But many animals nap and rest and sleep much more than humans. But that's in our modern world. I mean, before there were jobs and there was just hunting and gathering, I mean, you likely rested a lot more. You got up, you did your work, you rested a little bit under the tree or in the cave, wherever it was. And so we need to rest more. We need to stop with all the drinks that are stimulating drinks, right? Eliminate them. They're not good for us. I do carbonated mineral water. I've been off coffee now for 28 days just because I wanted to do something hard. And we're going to do a 3-day fast starting on August 3rd. August 1st. And so, I do my fast probably once or twice a quarter. I don't do them every month, but I do my 23 in 1, which is critical. But yeah, napping, meditation, positivity, prayer, love.
Everything.
And journaling. Get your journal. Write it. That's really important for everyone to do.
Well, you're fun to talk to. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Just been great. And I'm a big fan now, so I'm going to join your tribe. And if you join your tribe, what goes on in your little tribe thing?
Well, people are asking questions and posting things about what they do in the carnivore world. So it's meant to be a place for people to learn and grow, mostly in the carnivore keto world. And I say keto because keto is the on-ramp and the entryway to carnivore. But it might take people a week to do it or years to get into that. But everyone's on that journey. We share creativity and artwork and thoughts and ideas. It's just kind of a safe, friendly, fine place for people to connect and share and learn, because we all want to be part of something.
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you, after I talked with Sally K. Norton on the oxalate thing, she said, well, because I just dropped all oxalates like overnight, Doc. I just cold turkey. I'm a Scorpio. That's just the way I do it, man. I'm done. But, I haven't felt any kind of detoxification from the oxalates. A little bit in my bladder. For a few days, I could feel something was burning out of there. But other than that, have you found a lot of folks that do detox, though, from oxalates? I did a lot of almonds and spinach and chard. That was my fave, right? Every day I did almonds, spinach, and chard.
Well, I think we label these things because we're withdrawing from sugar.
Oh.
That's the number one thing we're doing, is withdrawing from sugar. And withdrawals from any drug is massively systemic. It'll affect every organ system of your body. So I don't know what the causes are. I just know that if you're withdrawing from spinach and almonds, your body's like, what the heck? I love that stuff. Come back. It's like heroin, cocaine, marijuana, caffeine for kilts. Yeah. So I everyone gets, it's bowel, it's skin, it's eyes, it's brain, it's all over. It's all over. And I used to have bowel bleeding. I'd like at 911, I'd be bowel bleeding, and
really?
I had blood in my urine forever. And it's like, my back pain is gone. My joint pains are gone. My eczema's gone. I've never felt better in my life. And I tell you, every age, the carnivore is the way. And it is the way. I call it, again, the baby's way: bacon, eggs, butter, beef, ice cream, and salt. And I got, it seems a little ridiculous, but what's the simple answer? I call it the baby's way.
Let me
so
put
I got this
full screen there. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Again, it's a little nuts, and it's sort of, we're all looking for something that makes it easy to understand. And the baby's way diet, bacon, eggs, butter, beef, and yes, you could have Kiltz's ice cream from time to time. And I
tell us how you make it. Tell us how you make your ice cream. How do you do that?
Oh, it's simple: pint of cream, 1 egg, 1 to 2 vanilla beans. You don't need to put the sugar in it. I prefer using cane sugar. Teaspoon or 2 is all you need to a pint, but it's not necessary. But again, I'm a treater and a reward myself. I don't think the simple sugar with a lot of fat is deadly, because both protein, amino acids, and sugars metabolize in a very simple way. And so that's the game changer when you realize it. But life is meant to be enjoyed. I might once in a while with my buddies, I do a steak dinner for them. I make my fries and steaks, ribeyes, and then, they want to have a glass of wine. I have a sip or two, and then we might smoke cigars together. But, I kind of mostly do this. I think most of our cultures, we like to hang out with our buddies, our friends.
Sure, and have fun.
It's fun, but if it's a drug that's deadly, it's like I'll do a martini once in a while, but it's mostly olive juice. I love the olive juice, and I love the olive with blue cheese stuffed in it. And that's my only green vegetable from time to time.
Yeah.
But it's a rare time.
Well, I really honor that, because we all been through it, and I certainly have. I was a macroneurotic for about 4 years, and that was something. You get so caught up in this thing, you make yourself crazy. You just make yourself crazy. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
I am crazy, but I'm realizing that creative crazy is good. And
yes, sir.
this is listen, when you find something that's a game changer, and I've sustained this, and I've seen so many people lose every disease, gone, done.
Really.
Cancer is caused by vegetables, fruit, fiber, seeds, and nuts. That's a simple answer.
And when you get in there and do surgery in the OBGYN world, are these things, in your opinion, caused by a bad diet?
Oh, 100%, because
100%.
the majority of the diseases are found in the pelvis. The pelvis. That's where we ever find it. Starts in the colon. The colon, I call it the ring of fire. The colon is fermenting. It's just gas, heat, methane, higher temperatures, which cook your cells and your tissue. Again, the bowels. So many people are getting colon cancer and Crohn's and IBS and colostomies and all these surgeries and all these problems, and even dying from these diseases without cancer. Our doctors are unwilling, unfortunately, and the science is just like, well, wait a minute, there's a magic drug. We're going to find the magic cure. Just hold on a little bit longer. But the hospitals and the nutrition world needs to step back and be open, because there's no time for a prospective, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. We already know this. You feel great. I feel great. So many people feel great. I have so many people doing this, and they feel fantastic. I'm like, okay, this is it. So I'm going to speak up. And that's really what my passion is as a physician. I can tell more people the secret that maybe they'll save some money and not need a doctor like me.
Yeah, like you. Yeah. All right, Doc. Well, thanks for coming on the show. It's been an honor. You take care. Let us know if we can help with anything, please.
You can. God bless you always, and we'll send more people your way, because you're sharing a really awesome, amazing story, Patrick. I appreciate
Thank you,
you.
sir. Dr.
All
Robert
right, God
Kills.
bless. All right.
See you soon. Wow, what a cool guy, huh? Man, that's fun. His website is drkiltz.com, and we're going to give you his other one too, which is his clinics. And if you're looking for a little support for making babies, just find an Italian. I'm just kidding. Hey, we'll put all the websites in his show page there. So I love you all very much. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. We will see you. We're going to see you tomorrow with Fred Dashevsky and the Real World of Money. Fred Dashevsky and the Real World of Money. So take care of yourself.